a little bit on Instagram. We are now live on Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, both Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle and my personal Facebook, and on Twitter. So welcome, good morning. People are starting to join. We're live with Florian of Fit Vegans. This is our third live episode. I'm going to flip the Instagram camera around so that you can see Florian. It's going to be kind of my computer screen. Let me go into full screen here on the app so that we can. It's too early. I haven't had my third. Oh, there we go. Good morning. All right, there we are. You can kind of see the background of my home studio. And you can see Florian and me talking. So there we are. You got it. There we go. Perfect. Florian, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning. Good to be here, Lucia, and welcome kind of to the fellow social media audiences. Lucia has there as well, especially to the Instagram folks. We probably are wondering, why is Florian not on Instagram? Why do we see Florian there in the reflection? Right? I'm that old guy who is not on social media that much. I think social media is awesome as a tool to connect, but I'm often to addict. I have a little bit of an addictive personality. So when I am on Instagram too much or on TikTok too much, or even for work side, I can't get rid of it personally. So I decided to be on as little social media as humanly possible. That's why kind of the odd flip there. But good to be here, Lucia. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to have you. Thanks for doing this with me, because I really, my results in the past 6 months working with you have been astounding. I set my goals when I started working with you, and I knew it was going to happen, but there was a moment where I was like, I can't get over this hump. And now I'm like, just feeling the best I have in at least a decade. So I wanted to share this with all my viewers and followers, because I really want everybody to have access to their best vegan life, which includes largely their own health. So we said we were going to cover 3 topics today, 2 of which we didn't get to last week because our conversations get so, I love them. They get so deep and people are loving our conversations. So we have 3 topics this week. We're going to talk about fat versus muscle and how my body has transformed and is transforming with diet and exercise, and how your clients in general have been. And the scale and the measuring tape, slow versus fast progress, and setting yourself for a lifetime of optimal health. That's what I've been doing with you. That's why I joined your program. And I want other people to be able to do this as well. So our third topic, which is the most important, because the entire purpose of us doing this is for people to know that you exist, who, if they haven't encountered you before, you're well known in the vegan community. And we have a lot of vegan friends in common. So you're very well known and very well respected. But to people who have not yet been exposed to you and don't know that Fit Vegans is around, or who do and have been hesitating to work with you, I want to focus mainly on you today. I want to talk about how you work with clients to create a specific plan individually so people can become and remain fit vegans for life. So that's our agenda.
Cool. Exciting. Looking forward to dive into it.
Great. So let's start with the first topic, fat versus muscle. We've seen it in my body, because I even wrote to you last week, to you and Jack, saying, when I first started, the fat, especially around my belly and hips, it seemed so stubborn. It seemed like thick. And I keep half joking that I'm walking around like feeling myself up, because my body is now so toned and the fat is like melting. So after 6 months, talk about this, please, Florian, fat versus muscle, and how the body transforms with diet and exercise.
Very good question. Or that's a very broad topic, but I think let's talk about kind of the key things that people need to know when they're looking to get in shape, or I think important things to keep top of mind. The first thing to know is that you cannot really transform fat into muscle.
Okay.
Fat and muscle are two completely fundamentally different cells that have a different structure and different purpose in your body.
Okay.
Yes, you can lose fat, you can build muscle at the same time, but you can never, ever, ever transform fat into muscle. Yes, it might feel like you're transforming fat into muscle while you're kind of losing fat and building muscle at the same time, but know that these are kind of two completely different things, right? Fat cell and the muscle cell. First and most important thing to keep top of mind. Now, when we kind of look at what is a fat cell and what is a muscle cell, we can see and how we can build one up and lose the other thing, right? Because function dictates design. So we have to take a look at what is the function of both the fat cell and the muscle cell. Let's start with the fat cell first. Fat cell has three functions. The first thing is thermoregulation. Right? Fat cell is there to for you to make sure that you have enough warmth when it's cold outside. Right? So that's usually why kind of overweight people in winter have less of a problem as, like, let's say, lean people. Right? That is kind of because fat cells are a thermal insulation. It's one of the few benefits that the fat cell brings with it. Second thing is it's a mechanical buffer, meaning if you have a lot of, let's say, fat around your stomach area, if someone would punch you, you have less of a damage than if someone would have less fat around the stomach area. That's why often kind of heavyweight fighters have a little bit more weight on their bodies, right? And it's not as good as a force insulation, or it's not as good as a kind of damper as, for example, muscles are, and we can go into that later, but that is one of the benefits that a fat cell has. And the third and most important benefit a fat cell has is energy storage. You can imagine fat cells almost like a battery that you carry around with you, or that our body is optimized to be carrying around with us. Because in the past, the environment that all species originate, including our species, Homo sapiens, has been in a very resource scarce environment. So there was not that much energy available. If you look at animals out there, animals, what they're doing kind of 99% of the time, it's either sleeping, it's kind of reproducing, or it's kind of looking for food, right? It's always looking for food. Look at birds out there. Always kind of, where's the food? Where's the food? Where's the food? Where's the food? Because the number one thing that has constrict evolution in the past was always kind of how much food is available, right? So storing fat has been an adaptive mechanism by all species, including us, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that in times where there's scarcity, we still don't die immediately. We don't die immediately, right? We have some sort of leeway. That is kind of where the fat comes in. So fat, first and foremost, is energy storage. So let's keep that top of mind with the energy storage part. The second thing, let's take a look at what is a muscle cell. Muscle cell is fundamentally completely different than a fat cell, right? Because the purpose of a muscle cell is not to store energy. The purpose of a muscle cell is to move the body, is to create force. Right? Very important thing to keep top of mind, because you have to break things down to the fundamental principles to understand kind of how to change them and how to modify them in the direction that you want. It's what Elon Musk calls first principle thinking. And if you understand how things work, you understand kind of which theories make sense and which theories do not make sense. Because then if a guru tells you, oh, you need to kind of lose fat by having more energy in your nutrition, you're like, right, that doesn't really make sense. If a guru tells you need to kind of lose fat by drinking bulletproof coffee, which has a lot of an energy content, you're like, does that make sense? Not really, right? So if you understand the first principles and how things work, you have kind of like a bullshit filter, which you need when you're in the fitness industry and when you're looking to get in shape, right? So the first thing is the fat cell. Second thing is muscle cell. Fat cell, energy storage. Muscle cells producing force, right? Completely different things. Energy storage, producing force, which is kind of a fancier, it's what kind of scientists use, the force or the newtons, but it's about moving, right? When you move your body, or where you put enough load on your muscles, they will adapt. They will adapt to the desired shape that you want it to be, right? It's a fundamental biological mechanism that all of us have in common. If Lucia puts weight on her biceps will grow. If it's above a certain threshold. If I put weight on my biceps will grow as well. right? And it has grown quite well in the past. If you will put weight on your biceps, it will grow as long as it's above a certain threshold. It's a biological certainty
Okay.
based for every human out there that does not have a genetic kind of underlying condition. News for you, if you're watching this video, you probably don't have that one. Right? So the same rules do apply for you.
Great.
So important thing, once we understand the fundamental principles of what these things are, we can then tailor or look at what makes the most sense, where you have the best results for the limited time and effort applied. If you're looking to, we've seen before that fat cells are an energy storage. We also know that it's way easier to get the energy in than to get it out, right? So it's way easier to eat a lot of energy than to expend a lot of energy. So what then is the best way to reduce the energy storage in our body? If it's much easier to kind of control, or if kind of the energy in is a much bigger lever on the energy kind of total that we have, than kind of expending the energy. It is naturally looking at the energy in, and that is the nutrition, right? That is why a lot of people that are joining gyms, there are a lot of people that work with personal training. It takes a long time to get rid of the body fat, because you're always focusing on the small part or the small kind of lever, which is exercise. When in reality, the limiting factor, 80% of the results when it comes to fat loss is due to nutrition. Exercise can help. We can kind of talk about why that will help as well in the fat loss kind of later. But 80% of the results, if you want to lose fat as quickly as humanly possible by still making it sustainable, nutrition is almost always the missing link. The second thing with the exercise, we've seen that it produces force. Now, that is something that I think very few people are talking about, because what is the first thing that people ask themselves when it comes to muscle growth? Do you have enough protein? Do you have enough protein?
Vegans.
Like, not the missing link.
Right.
Not the missing link. We've seen that kind of the muscle, why it's there to produce force, to move. So you have to put load on your muscle, which means exercise is the crucially important thing. 80% of the results will come from the exercise. 20% will come from nutrition, because nutrition can supplement the workout routine, not with actual supplementation. That can help when you're advanced. But in the beginning, it's about kind of the exercise will give you 80% of the results. Nutrition important for the recovery and for you to kind of make the most use of the exercise that you're doing, right? So that is kind of the fundamental differences between a fat cell and a muscle cell, which then dictate how to best apply these principles so you see the best possible results with your health and fitness for the limited time and energy that you do have available.
Great. Okay. And then I want to deviate so badly, because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if people have not been watching, one of the reasons that I decided to finally talk to you after knowing you and being connected for a while was that I was in recovery from breast cancer, from the surgery, from the radiotherapy, and then from the medication that I'm taking, which caused, side effects, weight gain, whatever. Can you talk briefly about how weight, fat storage, and then, the positive, how exercise and proper nutrition affects health and something like cancer?
Yeah, good question. I think we talked about that as well in the past. Just quickly summarize that, because it's an important topic. So and we need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught. All right, it's because kind of the knowledge that actually makes sense is actually scarce. So it's kind of reminding people, or us, for that matter, is more important than kind of teaching new things. So first and foremost, the important thing to keep top of mind is that exercise and your lifestyle has a bigger impact on your cancer risk than you might already think, right? Mm-hmm. And this is kind of not generally known, because often kind of doctors are wonderful people, but doctors have kind of too much things on their plate, right? I had the pleasure to work with a lot of doctors in our program as well. They've become clients of ours, wonderful people. If there's one kind of overworked person in our society, or overworked kind of professional in our society, it's usually the doctors, right? We see the thing when you look at the China study, for example, cancer is geographically localized. Yes, your genome plays a role, but it's usually not an imperative. It's often kind of the genome loads the gun, the environment pulls the trigger, right? So your lifestyle pulls the trigger, your genome can make you susceptible to it. Then your environment can pull the trigger there as well. So it's something that you have control over to a good extent, right? Now, when it comes to the fat storage, fat excretes inflammatory chemicals, right? It's a very politically incorrect thing to talk about, but usually if you just lose 5 to 10% of your body fat, or your weight in body weight, or which is body fat, meaning your internal lab values, meaning that in a blood test markedly improves. So how much fat you carry around will influence your internal health. There's no such thing as a healthy obesity, right? Even when if your BMI 25, that is not healthy.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many newspapers are trying to sell you kind of this new trend. It's almost like you're throwing a dart and it lands far away from the bullseye, and you then start to draw the bullseye around it. Doesn't make any sense. It will not change reality, right? Which is a hard thing to keep top of mind, but my necessary purpose is not kind of to make you feel very good in the moment. My purpose is kind of to tell you the truth about that, so you can make the best possible decision going forward with your health and fitness, right? So if you're currently obese, the hard reality is that you're strongly increasing the risk not only for heart disease, but certainly also for cancer, right? And by the way, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an oncologist. I just kind of read voraciously about these things, and I've kind of worked with a few hundred clients from kind of all around the globe, and I've learned a thing or two about these things in the past.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll mention that I am actually working with doctors, and I have an oncologist because of cancer. So working with you is, let's say, supplementary and inclusive to that. Thank you for that. Let's move to our second topic, which is the scale and the measuring tape, slow versus fast progress, and setting yourself up for a lifetime of optimal health.
Good topic as well. Slow versus fast progress. I think most people have too fast of a progress short term and too slow of a progress long term, right? Because most people are finding themselves in a constant roller coaster. Constant roller coaster of the weight, 5 pounds down, 7 pounds up, 2 pounds down, 3 pounds up, right? And it's kind of this constant back and forth. What you should primarily aim for is constant progress forward, right? Ideally, it's fast progress, but you should take slow progress kind of over the roller coaster or standing still or kind of decline any day, right? Slow progress, the key kind of is still better than no progress or a decline. What I generally like to recommend in the first few weeks of working together with a client, there needs to be some sort of fast progress. Because the clients need to see, that's what I've seen. The client needs to see like, this works, right? Florian is not full of shit. Right? That's what the client needs to see in the first 1 to 2 weeks. Or okay, this works. I can trust the process. I can kind of rest a little bit to see like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. I can just follow the clear roadmap that Florian has laid out for me, right? So losing weight is as much psychology as I would say is 80% psychology and 20% kind of the actual tactics and techniques. Right? Tactics and techniques and strategies matter, but 80% is the psychology, and it's kind of understanding that you're actually moving in the right direction, because kind of the extent, we have an incredible capacity to self-sabotage along the way. Yeah. Especially, and these are kind of people that we are working with. These are people that have tried everything before, right? They're in their 50s, 60s, and they've felt unease about their body since they're in their 20s and 30s. That's 30 years of trying. I talk about the mental baggage that we have kind of available there. And then it's kind of a lifestyle change. You need to kind of change your behaviors for the positive, but change is still scary. So it's kind of, make no mistake about it, these things are difficult. Mm-hmm. But you know what these things also are? These things are absolutely worth it. And humans kind of, when it comes to things that are important for us, we somehow make things work. Like pregnancy, making a child is difficult, right? When do you decide that your child is not a walker who just doesn't walk, fell down 20 times, it's not going to be a walker anytime soon. Yeah, but child doesn't care because it's worth it, right? The child kind of determined that this is something that I want to do and that is important clearly for me. And the same thing is health and fitness. Like, yes, most people that are probably on this call that are interested in their health and fitness have tried a lot of things before. So has almost everyone else, right? But just because you have tried almost everything doesn't mean that you have tried everything. And things that are important enough, we keep trying until we succeed, right? Because we see this in our. I think that's the beautiful thing about our kind of about humans, right? Is that we keep trying, we keep persevering, we keep moving forward, right? And you have to you have to apply the same principles for your lifestyle. And if you're already vegan, and we're going off on a tangent here, right? But if you're already vegan, you have to understand that you've kind of already did the impossible. Most people look at you like, oh, it's so difficult to be vegan. It's close to impossible to be vegan. Like, what bacon tastes so good. What about the protein? If you're already vegan, you've already done the impossible. And becoming a fit vegan is about as difficult as turning from a meat eater to a vegan, right? It is not easy, but it's absolutely and definitely worth it, right? So, that's what I would say about that topic. We went a bit on a tangent there, but I hope that covered the key things.
A very good tangent, because it absolutely, and then it'll bring us to the next topic, the investment. So, the investment. We know, I'm sure you know better than me. You just mentioned that people get on this cycle. I always thought, I'll talk about me for a second. I always thought I have a friend who's like completely, well, beautiful, but also very fit. And I said, what are you doing? This was years ago. And she said, oh, I count my calories, I measure my portions. I was like, oh, I will never do that. I just love to live. I'm vegan, so my main concern is protein. I've never had a bad blood result. I always have all my nutrients, never been deficient in vitamin B, so I'm good. I'll just exercise. Well, one of the things that I love about working with you is that, too, you not make us do the homework in a bad way, but you make us do the homework in a way that we are learning to do this on our own. You're setting us up, like I said in the topic, you're setting your clients up for a lifetime of optimal health. And the other thing that I love is that you, and now with Jack, keep a close eye. This can be done no matter where in the world someone is, because you keep a very close eye. There are things you do, like asking us to, videotape our workouts. But this is jumping a little bit ahead. Tell our viewers, please, what is your process of working with a client, and this investment, and why this investment is worth it, and to speak in, let's say, financial terms, why there's a great return on this investment.
There's a variety of different things that we can talk about here. Let's first talk about the difficulty, right? Because I think the number one reason why most people, I think it's usually fear, right? It's just fear of the unknown, fear of the new thing, right? You kind of know intuitively, I need to do something, but it's like, can I really make the move? It's almost like you're in a relationship. It's heading nowhere. Right? Whenever you think about it, so you kind of get this uneasy feeling. Like, I probably should do something about it, but it's not as bad right now. So, and she's cool, or he's cool on that area, so I might as well try to make it work. But deep down, you probably know I should just end all of this, right? Not in a like in a bad way, but you should probably kind of both go separate parts, right? And the same thing is important for your health and fitness there as well, because the same principles kind of apply. Most of us, we're kind of at the situation right now. We know, okay, we've been trying to do this for a longer period of time. Yes, the situation is bad, but at least it's familiar, right? Yes, there is kind of the situation. I sometimes have feelings when a friend tells me something, or I see myself in the mirror, that I know this is not optimal, but the pain is not as big for me to make a move forward, right? Here's what I would tell to that person. I would tell that person, move when you're not ready. Move when you're not ready. Make a decision when you're 60, 80% ready. I think most people want to be too certain in their life. Here's the thing. You're only certain when you're dealing with trauma, right? Usually the situation in a relationship works that way. You're 60% sure that this is not something that you want to do. And then, the person, let's say, a pregnancy test, or, a person wants kind of do something, and then you're 100% sure, but it goes along with trauma. Right? And then you make the decision, but you don't need that trauma in your life.
Right.
If you just move when you're not ready, if you're not sure you're sure, with your health and fitness, if you know, hey, look, I kind of need to do something and you need to do something about it, right? And I've seen that in my personal life over and over and over and over again. Whenever I procrastinated making the decision when I was not ready, I was in for a
Mhm.
hell of trauma,
Yeah.
right? And there's no way to live life. You can save yourself 80% of the pain and suffering that most people are dealing with just by making decisions when you're not ready, right? And let's face it, when is kind of moving forward with your health and fitness, investing in self not a good decision? Almost never,
Exactly.
right? People do not land on the streets. People do not become homeless because they invest in themselves too much. That doesn't happen, right? So there's never about this. I've only seen people better off as a result of investing in themselves.
Mhm.
Right? Me personally, I'm a huge believer in investing in myself, and I wasn't always. I can tell you a quick story when it comes to that. So in the past, I shared this on the first call. I was a manager of 5 fitness centers, right? 10,000 members, 40 employees, and I was high up on the corporate world, just kind of like a few kind of positions below the CEO, like 2 or 3 positions below the CEO, right? And at that time, I decided this is leading nowhere. I don't really like the product that we're selling too much because almost no one has results. I mean, common gyms have about the 2-3% success rate, right?
Oh,
Maybe lower. Yeah, and 100%. Like gyms in the UK, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but I think a lot of people know this intuitively, have 100% cancellation rate. At
oh,
every person after a year is not in the gym anymore. A
oh,
100% UK. That's UK stats,
wa-
right?
wow.
And it's like and we kind of know this because if you look around, there's almost no one is in shape. So the
Yeah.
gyms are really not that good. And look, I like gyms. I like kind of making a positive movement forward, but it's just not delivering it as on the promise as good as it should. So after some time, I was like, this is not something I want to do. I decided, hey, look, I'm passionate about veganism. I seem to be really good about health and fitness. You know, I already was coaching people on the side. Might just make a full time move, right? So I took a plane to Bali at that time because Bali is kind of known as this kind of entrepreneurial community. Was kind of looking for a different path, and down there I was wondering, all these guys do not really seem to be smarter than me, but how come I'm making almost no money while
Yeah.
everyone around me is not all, but is crushing it, right? And soon I found out that almost everyone around me was more lazy than I was, but was simply investing in themselves and looking for shortcuts along the way.
Wow.
Right? Looking for shortcuts in a positive way. Because look, you don't have time to figure out things on your own,
Right.
especially if you're smart. Like if you're smart, you can learn things quicker, but you have no time available to learn all the secrets in this life on your own.
Right.
No way. Right. So I was down there, so I was talking with this guy, and he's like, okay, so I invested in this program. How much was it? 5,800. Like, what the hell? I mean, you invested 2 weeks ago in another program which was 3,500. Yes. I'm planning to do another one next month. I was like, okay, this guy also made a good bucks of money, but the fundamental principle or fundamental mindset is the same. Almost everyone that is crushing it in their lives is investing in themselves.
Mhm.
Right? Meaning, if you do not have the life that you want, that could be probably one of the reasons
Right.
why. Because I know kind of how it felt like because I was in the same position. I was there in Bali, like, okay, how come I'm not moving forward with almost anything, right? And I realized for me to kind of really get what I want in my life, I need to invest in myself. I need to learn from people who've already done it. We're already on that position. And here's the truth about these people that you want to learn from. Almost like, first of all the people that you want to learn from have too little time. They're too busy and they're not incentivized to share their secrets with you,
Oh, right.
right? If a person absolutely wants to teach you, then let me assure you that it's probably not the person you should want to learn from, right? A person and I was in that belief. I remember I was sending a long video to a fitness coach that I really respected, to a fitness entrepreneur. And the person then told me, hey, look, wonderful video. Thanks for kind of really liking what I do. I'm opening a program soon. It's 5K. I'm like, oh, this moron, I want this for free. How come? And I send you this video. But that is a stupid mindset.
Yeah.
Right? It is a mindset. I would not say stupid. It's a mindset is not going to bring you further.
Right.
Right? Because if you constantly look at, like how it's it's not how the world works, right? You have to incentivize another person to kind of get your results out in. And I ended up going for this other coaching, and it paid kind of at least kind of, yeah, it paid a lot back, right? So don't be afraid of investing in yourself, right? So don't be afraid of kind of making a move forward or making a move that in the short term will set you back. In the long term, there's nothing that can be a better move than that. Right. Since the last few years, I've invested over 50 grand in myself. Probably right now a bit more, but almost every decision that some of the things that I've invested in were not a wonderful decision, but the sum total of all the investment that I made, made me achieve almost all the goals I set out for myself in the last few years. So don't be afraid of investing in yourself. The second thing, when it comes to the health and fitness part, we have to kind of understand that the hardest decision to make is always where we can clearly quantify what we have to lose, but we cannot quantify what we have to gain. And let's say you invest in the coaching, but you just see like, I enjoy my comfort food now and then. So that is something that you would need to lose. I enjoy the money that I have on my bank or on my credit card, but that's not something that I want to lose, but you cannot quantify what you have to gain, but that's what it's all about. Right. And if you could quantify what you have to gain, that is a wonderful energy, a wonderful confidence, and moving forward with your life, because progress equals happiness. And if you just make progress, I can tell you feel significantly better about yourself. The impacts on your career, right? Or kind of as Lucia kind of told herself, and just touching upon it, feel like, hey, wow, this was a wonderful decision, because all of this adds to the fulfillment, right? All of this adds to your quality of life, because news to you just have one vehicle available, your body. And if you don't make sure that your body is in top shape, life is just not as fun. Life is just not as cool.
It's had like the reciprocal effect, when I'm lean, I move better physically, and also I'm an on-camera person, right? So I feel more comfortable on camera, in my skin, in my clothes, when I'm leaner. I've never been overweight. And actually, my physician advised not to lose weight because she says I'm big boned. I'm 5'9", and I do sometimes, like in photos, I do appear like an Amazon, like tall, like just, I guess broader or whatever, but which is fine. That's what it is. But I knew for myself how I wanted to feel and look, and that I wanted to prevent. Right, I want to work to prevent cancer recurrence, but it's had this reciprocal effect. When just in just a few weeks, right? Like there's a moment where it kind of clicks. You're doing the work, you're seeing the results, and then it clicks. So many things come together. So what happened for me working with you is that there's this reciprocal. I'm not seeking comfort food, because exactly how you said, now I've been more productive work-wise, happier in my work. And when I'm working, doing my work, there's no greater satisfaction. And just a couple of weeks ago, I kept thinking, oh my God, I'll never stop thinking about food. And what am I going to eat next? When I'm like focusing on editing, an episode of the show, I'm like, okay, what's in the fridge? Or I'm hungry. But Florian, the past few weeks, I guess a couple of months now, I haven't been thinking about eating food. I've been much more productive. So it's like it's an overall investment in everything. Talk about the way you work specifically. I know it's catered to your individual clients, but you do have, let's say, not a formula, but you have a program. So, and it's very involved. It's very scientific, and it's very much based on teaching your clients to be independent, right? So you talked before about we can't know everything. This is why we seek out experts. You are the expert in this. I could not do it on my own, even though I'm like let's say a nutritionist hobbyist. I'm not an expert. I can only learn so much, and I could only do so much on my own. And that's why I came to you. So talk about, so people know, because the purpose of this is for people to sign up to work with you. so that they have optimal health. People have been enjoying our conversations, but I want them to work with you to feel as incredible as I do right now. And I'm good. I want to tell everyone I've lost 20 pounds and I have more to go. And I'm like, if I'm looking and feeling this great now, I can't even imagine how incredible I'm going to when I lose the remainder of my goal weight. So can you talk about a little bit, when someone signs up with you, what is it that you and they will do?
Good question. Before we talk about that, I would like to add one more for the pricing situation or pricing question. It's probably top of people's minds.
Yeah.
We have to, I think a lot of people make the mistake that they look at their life largely on a very short-term horizon. Right? If you look at your life largely on a kind of 1 or 2 week horizon, then investing yourself is almost universally a no-brainer because you just see this money leave, right? But if you look at your life, just think about your life from a 10, 20, 30 year perspective, right? And you kind of see like, investing yourself is almost always a wonderful decision, right? If you look at kind of the long-term decision, how much kind of money you get back. I would say just in the next 5 years, or probably in the next 2 years, you get the money back just from added confidence and added, competence in your work, added mental clarity, right? Because this is very politically incorrect, but I read about this study, which Robert Cialdini quotes in his book, Influence Psychology of Persuasion. They made a study on kind of hiring decisions. Now, which people do get hired in the workforce? And you would say, okay, it's CV, it's competence. But, trivial things such as grooming, right? How your hair looks like made a bigger hiring factor than competence. Right? We think that kind of like these rational and logical reasons matter when we interact with our fellow beings. But the reality is that we all have more of an ape brain than we have a robot brain, right? So it's an important thing to keep top of mind. I would be very, very, very surprised if a person that joins with me and they get the results in 2 years, they will have the money back just by another deal, especially if you're in control of your income.
Yeah.
Right? That would be then probably even quicker. But I would say, let's say you currently have a job at a place that you dislike. You go for a coaching like this. Kind of universal common theme that we have in our program, next to kind of overall a better life, is kind of change in career, right? Because after some time you realize, hey, look, your self-esteem starts growing. You're like, I kind of deserve more, right? Or I feel like I've kind of been under my purpose. And the last thing, when it comes to pricing is always relative, right? Pricing is expensive in the short-term horizon compared to, let's say, a Red Bull or an energy drink, but pricing is very cheap in comparison. This is what John McDougall wrote in his Stark Solution book, because his program's like 4K. He said, 4K can sound expensive until you compare it to a bypass surgery, which is 40 grand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Or hip replacement, which is 20 grand. Or a knee replacement, which is 20 grand. Right? And you need 2 of these, and you need 2 hip replacements usually as well, because if you have one messed up, you have a different weight loadings, and another one will be messed up as well. And bypass surgery is usually a reoccurring theme as well, right? So the problem is that most people kind of start working on these things when it's almost always too late, right? Or it's kind of like they've already dealt with the trauma, which is, again, they made the crucial mistake. You should move when you're not ready. Right? They waited until things got worse, and they're like, okay, they dealt with the trauma, now they start moving forward, but some of the damage is already done. Right? So I think the people who are best at living life move when they're not ready, and kind of can future project their current life and see, like, okay, in the future, if I keep behaving that way, I will get that result, and this is not something that I do want. Right? Yes, you cannot predict the future, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. Right? Because the future is a sum total of your current behaviors and the current kind of causes which you're creating right now. Right? And I think that is a skill, and it's something that you need to cultivate. And if you manage to develop that skill, you will see kind of investing yourself is an absolute and definitive no-brainer.
Yeah, which is what you do. Like, it's let's say it's training, right? This is like going to university, right? You're teaching us. We have to do our homework. You're so informative. You provide so much information for us to set us up at the beginning right? You provide videos that you've recorded, and you also are constantly posting, let's say, video tidbits of facts that we should know about drinking water, and all different kinds of things. And it's really helpful. And the eye that you keep on us, right? That we your clients basically log all our consumption, right? So that we can keep track of the nutrients that we're receiving, and where our calories are coming from. This very specific program to give people a little bit of a view inside of what they'll be doing when they sign up with you, weighing the food. I keep joking that I didn't know that a packet of pasta lasted so long. I thought it was 1 or 2 portions, and I mean, I knew it wasn't. But I'm like, who's gonna eat that little pasta? But you know what? Having that portion does so many things. One, it's satisfying on its own, right? And then you put all different kinds of things in it, beans or whatever protein, green, whatever you want. Pasta is it has infinite, but it's satisfying even in knowing that you are in control, right? This is a great thing to know that you switch the voice inside of your head, but it's because you're being trained by Florian or Jack you're being trained to do this for a lifetime. I don't think in those short terms, because luckily 3 of my grandparents lived until their mid-90s. One died early from a heart attack, but those 3, I always think, well, if this is in my genetics, I'm going to live at least till I'm 95. So I better be healthy the rest of the year, because I want to live that long. I do. I want to do it. I want to accomplish a lot. And even if one doesn't, right, people are tuned in now because they're curious. They want to live a fit vegan lifestyle. So what you do in the specifics, catering, a specific workout just in order that your clients can achieve their goals. And then follow-ups and, logging in our weight, things like this these are tools that you use that are very specific to your program and very specific to each client, that makes it an individual investment and not just a general, let's say, dieting program.
Mm-hmm. So I think you summarized it all kind of quite well. I think it's first important to kind of outline what this program not is. This program is not a quick fix, right? Because you probably already noticed that this doesn't really work. This program is also not a magic wand, right? Meaning where you just kind of lay down and then kind of tomorrow you get the results. This program is not a late night infomercial product, right? Because you probably can bullshit yourself better than kind of the late night infomercial product that you're seeing. And this program is also not a liposuction, right? Where you put a band-aid on an underlying problem and then you don't improve your health, and a few months later you deal again with that situation, right? Our program is anywhere in between, kind of just over liposuction, under liposuction, so you have more effort, but it's kind of like it's positioned. It's not a surgical intervention, but it's also kind of not a $5 ebook that you would find online, right? What we are doing in our program, right? We help you to get to your desired result in the quickest way possible, while also making it sustainable. We have 3 ways that we do that, or 3 kind of fundamental pillars in our program. The first thing that we do is we help you get a clear roadmap. We take a look at exactly what you're doing right now, and then we lay out this clear step-by-step plan for you to get to your desired situation. Right? Because you need to know what you need to do in the right sequential step-by-step order to get the best possible results with your health and fitness. So you might think already that you know in which direction you want to go, but what if that is not correct? Right? Because the thing about health and fitness is that you have to be certain that you're going in the right direction. Because health and fitness is a very long feedback loop. Right? You know only in a few months whether your current actions have worked. For example, I taught myself the piano a few years ago. And the good thing about piano, it's actually comparatively easy to teach yourself this because the feedback loop is quite fast. You touch a key, and it sounds good or it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
It's a very fast feedback loop. Then in health and fitness, you can kind of go down the rabbit hole, and then 6 months later, you can no change, right? Or 1-2 years later, no change. Or what happens to a lot of people 10, 20, 30 years later, no change, because that is the default. Most people around, like everyone wants to get in shape, but why is almost no one in shape? Because they are in a feedback loop that is simply not working. The behavior is not kind of leading to the results that they're wanting to go. And the underlying issue is they don't have a clear roadmap, don't have the mindset and the thinking which is required, because that is the fundament for the behaviors, right? The thinking, the behaviors follow the thinking, not vice versa, right? So that's the first thing, the clear roadmap, which is lacking or which is important to get in shape. Second thing is overall objective feedback for your situation, right? If you are a fellow vegan, you're a single-digit percentile of the general population, 0.5 to 2% is kind of the amount of vegans that we have in the general population, which is very, very, very small. And then again, a very small digit percentile of these folks are actually looking to get in wonderful shape. So again, a single-digit percentile. So this is, if you're a person that is a vegan and you're looking to get in shape, a single-digit percentile of a single-digit percentile, right? And so a lot of the feedback that is out there, if you read a book, some of the principles might apply for you, but it will never be completely customized to your unique situation. I mean, you can try it, and a few months later you might not see the results. So what you need is objective feedback of someone that looks over your shoulder and tells you, okay, this is currently what you need to be improving, because clearly that has been lacking in the past. And most people, especially if you're a successful person, most people are not giving you an objective feedback, right? Because your friends think very, very similar to you. That's why often they're your friends, right? And your friends are often very, very polite, especially in Switzerland. So you can never ever get feedback from friends, right? If you ask your friends, they're like, "Oh, everything is going well, Florian," and you could be on a burning boat, right? So like, not that extreme, but it's very hard to get that objective feedback nowadays, and you have to seek it out. So the third thing that is lacking, or that we do focus on, is the accountability, right? Helping you do what you know that you're supposed to do, right? Or helping you do what you know that you should do. Yeah. Because accountability needs to be there, because even if you have the best program, it's very hard to stick to things, right? Changing your nutrition and changing your kind of behaviors when it comes to exercise is difficult. Make no mistake about it. That's why most people don't ever do it, right? Because they don't have a clear roadmap, they don't get the objective feedback, and they don't have the accountability, right? You need to have the accountability in place, because the accountability is often the bridge between mere wanting and actually doing, between wishing and actually achieving. So the accountability needs to be in place for you to do what you know that you should do, and long enough, not only until the results are dialed in, but also so the habits are built so you can maintain this for the long term without having to constantly think about this. The absolute end goal of our program is to turn you from your current situation to your desired situation, which is a fit vegan. So you change your habits, which then change your identity. So your behaviors match that identity, meaning you can maintain this for the long term without having constantly think about this, just like being second nature. Just like you turn from an omni to a vegan, you will turn from a vegan to a fit vegan, meaning you can maintain your shape and your body for the long term. Which is, if you look with that lens over the fitness industry, you will understand the kind of what we're doing there is very, very scarce, right? And it's a very unique program. Hence why I'm also kind of on this call here to talk about this, because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful kind of program that you've built there.
Yeah, and I think it's a wonderful program as well. And I think people we should tell them how they can schedule with you, because now they can go further. Now that they have the knowledge or general overview of how you approach getting people to their vegan goal, they should now book the free 15-minute call that you offer and get with the program, get on board with working with you to become fit vegans. So if you don't already know, if you haven't already booked with Florian or Jack, who's also wonderful, it's fitvegans.com/schedule. I will be reposting this video in case you want to rewatch it, or for people who missed it. and in the caption and whatever platform that you're watching it on, it's a clickable link. It's on my link in bio, wherever there's a link in bio on Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle, and or in the description, depending on where you're watching. So fitvegans.com/schedule, fitvegans.com/schedule. And when you're prompted, let Florian know that you found the program through Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle, because we want to know that these conversations are working and that it's benefiting you. So please let him know. We will be back here again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. I will post the day before, as I've been, a video of what I had eaten the previous week and some exercise. It's not always easy producing a TV show and taping everything I do for you, but I'm trying. And people have also been enjoying that insight, because they're like, it all looks delicious. Yes, I am eating. I'm not starving myself. I'm eating very well. So, and exercising very well. So next Sunday, please join us. Tell people, because I know you all know people who want to be healthy and in shape. So please tell people. And I will post the day before the reel with what I ate the previous week and topics that Florian and I will be discussing. And always let us know in comments what questions you might have. We're happy to answer them. So Florian, thank you so much again for being with us this Sunday. And I'm looking forward to finding out who all the fit vegans are that discovered you through this show.
Lucia, thank you so much for your time. Good to be on this call. And if you're kind of currently waiting, thinking, not sure if I should schedule the call, remember what we kind of said in the beginning of the live here. If you're not sure, you're sure. You have to move when you're not ready. This is a completely free 15-minute call with yours truly and Jack, just as kind of me and Lucia are hanging here, kind of in the call, where we can make sure that we look at your situation, we can point in the right direction, and then if at the end it makes sense, we can schedule another call to talk all about the coaching. So there's no risk, there's no pressure. We literally had thousands of these calls by now, and there's nothing we haven't seen before. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you feel that right now you could benefit from kind of the added feedback when it comes to your health and fitness, please do. Lucia has been on that call as well, and she has not regretted it. So good to be here. Thank you so much for the time as well for the ones watching there. And Lucia, thank you for your time too. Always a pleasure.
Okay, and we are off on that. All right, thank you all for tuning in. We're going to sign off now, and we'll see you next Sunday. And you will see Florian when you book that 15-minute call.